huge warm welcome to all of our amazing listeners out there today.
So Sip&Talkers, I am literally slamming my coffee cup down on the table right now because I'm fired up.
I knew you would.
I mean, I hear the enthusiasm, I really do. But if we actually run the numbers on this, there are massive hidden taxes in that entire philosophy.
Hidden taxes, come on.
Seriously.
Yeah.
If we look at Bloomberg's recent analysis on the circular economy, they highlight this concept called total cost of ownership, or TCO for short.
Yeah, TCO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the price of replacing 3 cheap entry-level smartwatches practically equals the cost of buying 1 premium flagship watch that would easily last you 5 years. And you completely eliminate the mental burden of dealing with the constant setup, the software glitches of cheap tech, and obviously the e-waste.
Okay, so you look at that equation and you call it a hidden tax. I look at it and I call it an experience premium.
An experience premium. Okay, that's a new one.
It's true. By buying more frequently, I'm not just paying for a piece of metal and glass on my wrist. I am paying for breadth. I'm paying for freshness. You know, I am constantly synced with the absolute cutting edge of human innovation. While your philosophy, no offense, means you're basically paying for length and stability.
None taken. I like stability.
It's like those handmade leather shoes you always wear. The ones you claimed, like, mature with age.
They do mature with age. They get better every year.
Sure they do.
Yeah.
The Financial Times actually coined a really great term for that lifestyle in their sustainability column. They call it slow consumption.
Slow consumption. Yeah, I like that. I really like that because slow consumption is about seeing the big picture. You know, it's a systemic investment in your lifestyle rather than just this frantic series of micro purchases, which is actually exactly what our mission for today is all about.
Yes, it is.
We are exploring what we're calling the umbrella paradox. We really unpack the fascinating evolutionary and psychological mechanics behind why we so often save cents in the short term, but end up wasting dollars in the long run.
Exactly. And before we get too deep into the weeds here, just a really quick disclaimer for our Sip&Talkers.
Right, the disclaimer.
Yeah, we are looking at these concepts from an objective, global perspective today, just to spark some independent thinking. We are not investment experts, and any financial concepts we discuss are purely for educational purposes.
Absolutely.
So please, do not go reallocating your retirement portfolio just based on my smartwatch habits.
Yeah, please don't do that. The goal here is just to analyze the mechanics of our daily choices.
All right, so let's step away from the tech scene for a second and look at the physical, everyday world. Specifically, those completely mundane items that constantly break or just vanish into the ether.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Let's talk about umbrellas, because I run a strictly asset-light operation when it comes to rain gear.
An asset-light operation. Wow. That is definitely the most corporate spin on buying a cheap umbrella I have ever heard.
Hey, it makes total economic sense. I only buy those flimsy $3 convenience store umbrellas.
Oh, the clear plastic ones.
Yes. The clear plastic ones with the white handle. If I leave it on the train or, like, a sudden gust of wind blows it inside out and snaps the metal, I feel zero heartache. I'm just setting it free back into the universe.
Setting it free.
I am. The financial risk is virtually zero because the upfront cost is basically nothing.
What's really fascinating here is that your asset-light operation is actually what economists might call the garbage accumulation rule.
The garbage accumulation rule? That sounds a little harsh.
Well, let's do the math on your supposed zero financial risk. Buying 20 cheap, flimsy umbrellas over the course of a few years perfectly equates to the cost of 1 high-end, wind-resistant fiberglass umbrella.
Yeah, maybe.
You can even get them with GPS tracking chips now, so you literally don't lose them on the train.
Yeah.
You aren't avoiding financial risk. You're just making regular micro-donations to the Umbrella Disappearance Committee.
Okay, come on. A GPS tracking chip for an umbrella, that feels like extreme overkill to me.
It works.
But I will admit, the visual of the garbage accumulation rule is incredibly real. If you are listening right now, you know exactly what we are talking about.
Well, everybody knows.
We have all seen that really sad blue plastic bin at the entrance of every single subway station on a rainy day.
Exactly. Stuffed to the brim with broken inside-out umbrellas looking like mangled bat wings.
Mangled bat wings.
Yes. It is the collective graveyard of the buy cheap faction.
Yeah.
I mean, the sheer volume of metal and plastic just sitting in those bins globally is staggering.
It is. But I am going to push back here for a second. Isn't there a certain kind of freedom in treating an item as entirely disposable?
Freedom. How so?
Well, if I buy a premium, heavy-duty, expensive umbrella, I have to babysit the thing.
Babysit it?
Yeah. I have to carry this wet, heavy, high-tech piece of equipment around with me all day to coffee shops, to meetings, constantly terrified I'll leave it behind.
Yeah.
My $3 umbrella gives me freedom from that responsibility.
I mean, I guess it feels like freedom in the moment, but you're completely ignoring the hidden friction of that lifestyle.
What friction?
Every single time that cheap umbrella snaps in a crosswind or you realize you left it at the office, you're caught out in the rain.
Well, yeah.
Imagine this scenario, right? You're soaking wet. Your shoes are completely ruined. You're rushing into a crowded convenience store, waiting in a massive line of other wet people, and you're swiping your card again.
Ugh, the worst.
That is an invisible time cost. You are literally spending your time, your physical comfort, and honestly, your dignity just to subsidize a cheap price tag.
Okay, the wet socks argument is a direct hit. I'll give you that. Getting caught in a downpour because your $3 umbrella decided to fold like a taco is definitely not a premium experience.
No, it's really not.
But this time, cost friction isn't just about losing things on the commute, is it? It's also about the literal space we sacrifice in our own homes just to justify a cheap price tag.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's move from the subway into the kitchen. Because I will passionately defend my $30 waffle maker to the death.
I had a feeling the infamous waffle maker was going to make an appearance on Sip&Talk today. Take my water oven, for example.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes, it was expensive. It made my wallet cry a little bit when I swiped my card. But it replaces a microwave, a traditional oven, and a steamer. It earns its square footage every single day.
I'm laughing because this is just such a universal truth. Every single person listening to us right now has a completely untouched Cyclone food chopper or some ridiculous manual juicer just dying in the back of a drawer.
Oh, 100%. It's an epidemic of abandoned appliances.
It really is. But why do we do this? Why is it so incredibly easy to blindly buy the $30 gadget we don't actually need, but then we agonize for months over buying the expensive appliance we would actually use every single day?
Well, this actually brings us to Nobel laureate Richard Thaler.
Okay, let's hear it.
He developed this behavioral economics theory called mental accounting. And it turns out our brains do not treat all dollars equally.
Really? A dollar is a dollar, though.
Mathematically, yes. But evolutionarily, we didn't develop frameworks for abstract, long-term financial planning. We evolved to deal with immediate resources. So, to cope with modern money, we mentally sort our cash into different conceptual drawers.
Oh, like budgeting in your head.
Exactly. When you buy that cheap waffle maker, your brain tosses that $30 expense into the entertainment drawer.
And spending money on entertainment feels completely painless.
Painless.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when you consider a premium multifunctional appliance, your brain categorizes that in the asset or capital expenditure drawer.
And let me guess, the asset drawer has way higher security.
Precisely. It triggers a psychological mechanism called loss aversion.
Loss aversion.
Right. The pain of losing money is psychologically twice as powerful as the joy of gaining something.
Wow, twice as powerful.
Yeah. So you feel this heavy pre-purchase anxiety because you're terrified of making a bad investment. You judge the expensive item super harshly as a major life commitment while letting the cheap items slide right past your defenses as casual weekend entertainment.
Wow. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though. That entertainment mindset doesn't just apply to kitchen gadgets. It is the entire foundation of the modern closet.
Oh, we are going there.
We are. If you're listening right now and staring guiltily at a pile of cheap t-shirts, you are going to relate to this. Fast fashion is the ultimate entertainment expense because my closet is basically a theater wardrobe.
A theater wardrobe. That implies you're playing characters.
I absolutely am playing characters. Fast fashion lets me change my identity on a weekly basis.
Okay.
Like on Tuesday, I want to look like a trendy K-pop star, but by Friday, I'm pivoting entirely into rugged American workwear. To me, clothing is disposable architecture.
Disposable architecture.
Yeah, it's meant to match a mood, to be constructed and torn down quickly. It is not meant to be passed down as some sacred family heirloom.
Okay, disposable architecture is a brilliant phrase, I'll give you that. But let's look at the actual physics of fast fashion.
The physics?
The reality is what I call structural collapse.
Structural collapse of a shirt.
Yes. You buy a shirt for next to nothing. You wear it once. The lighting in the store makes you feel great. Then you wash it twice, and the fabric completely gives up.
Sad but true.
The collar stretches out. and starts looking like a wilted lotus leaf.
Oh, I have absolutely experienced the lotus leaf collar. You try a shirt on, you feel like a runaway supermodel, and then you take it home, run it through the dryer exactly one time, and it shrinks so drastically that only the house cat can wear it.
Right. So what happens next? You end up buying 10 of these wear once shirts. Your closet explodes.
Yep.
The hangers are jammed so tightly together you can barely pull one out. And yet you stand there every single morning feeling like you have absolutely nothing to wear.
The classic paradox. But why?
Because you lack infrastructure. You don't have those core high-quality pieces that actually hold their shape, survive the wash, and anchor an outfit.
Okay, I hear you. But there is a massive psychological trap with those high-quality foundation pieces. Let me defend the fast fashion girlies for a second here.
By all means.
If I buy a cheap, trendy shirt, it's an isolated event. If it doesn't work out, I toss it in the donation bin and move on.
Right.
But if I buy a stunning, expensive, high-quality leather jacket, suddenly my cheap denim jeans look terrible next to it.
Ah, I see where this is going.
Then my sneakers look wrong. So I have to upgrade the jeans, and then I have to upgrade the shoes just to match the jacket. It's identity kidnapping. The premium item holds my wardrobe hostage.
That is an incredible observation, and you just perfectly described the Diderot effect.
The Diderot effect.
Yes, it's named after the 18th century French philosopher Denis Diderot. He lived most of his life in relative poverty, happily writing in this very comfortable, worn-out, threadbare robe.
Okay.
But one day, a wealthy friend gifted him a stunning, luxurious, bright scarlet dressing gown.
Sounds like a pretty nice upgrade to me.
Well, it was until he put it on in his study. He sat down at his desk, wearing this magnificent scarlet gown, and suddenly realized his old wooden desk looked incredibly shabby in comparison. So he bought a new, expensive desk. But then, sitting at his new desk, his old chairs looked entirely out of place.
Let me guess, he bought new chairs.
He bought new chairs. Then the artwork on the walls looked amateurish. He ended up replacing his entire office, plunging himself deep into debt.
Oh, wow.
The Diderot effect is the psychological pressure that buying one new premium thing forces you to buy more things just to match its elevated standard.
See? That is exactly my point. That is why I avoid the premium stuff. I am protecting my bank account from the Diderot spiral.
Right.
I'm keeping my purchases isolated.
Are you, though? I want to challenge that.
Challenge away.
Let's rewind to your tech drag argument from the very beginning of our conversation. You bought that brand new cutting-edge robot vacuum a few months ago, right?
I did. And it is amazing. It has laser navigation. It maps the house. It's an absolute genius.
Right. But didn't you mention a few weeks later that you had to buy a special, expensive, proprietary floor cleaning solution just for that machine? And correct me if I'm wrong here, didn't you actually replace your living room rug and buy new furniture legs to elevate your sofa because the new vacuum couldn't fit underneath them?
I am feeling incredibly attacked right now.
You didn't avoid the Diderot effect. You just shifted it to a different category.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't just buy a vacuum. You paid to upgrade an entire environmental system to support your need for the newest technology.
Wow. Okay, that is a direct hit. I am officially a victim of the tech Diderot spiral.
We all are, to some degree.
But let's peel back the final layer here, because I really want to look at the actual brain chemistry driving these choices.
Sure.
Why do I care so much about having the newest tech, even when it literally forces me to buy a new rug? I'm starting to realize I might literally be addicted to the unboxing process.
Well, you're touching on a really powerful cognitive bias called hyperbolic discounting.
Hyperbolic discounting.
Yes. It explains why we consistently choose smaller, immediate rewards over much larger, delayed rewards.
And why does our brain do that? Is it an evolution thing again?
Exactly. Our ancestors were hunter-gatherers. If you found a bush full of calorie-dense berries, your brain rewarded you with a massive hit of dopamine to eat them immediately.
Because they go bad.
Exactly. You didn't save them for next year because they would rot or another animal would eat them. We are literally hardwired to prioritize the immediate payoff.
Makes sense.
So today, peeling the crisp plastic off a new piece of tech gives you that exact same evolutionary dopamine hit. You are blinded by the immediate thrill, which completely overrides your logical understanding that the gadget will have zero residual value in 3 years.
So buying my third smartwatch is just my brain foraging for digital berries.
That is a brilliant way to put it, yes. Now compare that to my strategy. Buying a pair of expensive handmade leather shoes requires intense cognitive effort.
Because it's not a quick thrill.
Right. It requires delayed gratification. I don't get the immediate thrill of a flashing screen. I have to look at those stiff leather shoes and mentally project myself 5 years into the future, imagining the value, the patina, and the comfort they will eventually provide.
And that takes work.
Exactly. That takes significantly more mental energy than just seeking a quick dopamine pulse.
But it's not just internal brain chemistry, is it? I mean, there's a massive social element to this, too. Think about signaling theory. By constantly upgrading my tech, my wrist is literally broadcasting a message to everyone in the room. It signals that I am synced, I am fast-paced, I'm modern, I adapt quickly to change. Basically, I'm a person of the future.
And my well-worn leather shoes signal something equally powerful, just different.
Which is?
They signal stability, they signal long-term value, reliability, and an appreciation for craftsmanship over fleeting trends.
But I have to ask a provocative question here.
Let's hear it.
I've seen you with those shoes. You spend years oiling the leather. You take them to the cobbler to get resoled. You buy special wooden cedar shoe trees to maintain their shape when you aren't wearing them.
Yes, I do.
Isn't that basically a form of consumer Stockholm syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome.
Are you actually wearing the shoes, or are the shoes enslaving you? You are spending your precious time serving an inanimate object.
I don't view it as servitude at all. In fact, I look at it as the exact opposite. I call it a sovereignty declaration.
A sovereignty declaration. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
It's about taking pride in taking care of your life. By maintaining an object, by repairing it instead of replacing it, I'm declaring my independence from the exhausting cycle of endless consumption. I am actively choosing not to leave a massive trail of garbage behind me, just to satisfy a temporary craving for novelty. And if we look at the global reality for just a moment, that trail of garbage is terrifying.
You're talking about the environmental impact of my experience premium.
Yes. The UN Global E-Waste Monitor report recently put out some staggering numbers.
How bad is it?
They stated that the world generates over 50 million tons of electronic waste annually. 50 million tons of heavy metals, plastics, and batteries, much of which cannot be easily recycled. That is the very real, very physical dark side of constantly needing to feel synced with the future.
50 million tons. That number is genuinely hard to wrap your head around. It really is.
It's a crisis.
But I want to defend the consumer just a little bit here, because we aren't making these choices in a vacuum. It's not entirely our fault. You cannot ignore the incredibly frustrating reality of planned obsolescence.
That is a very fair point. The game is often rigged against us.
Exactly. Companies deliberately design things to break.
Yeah.
They literally glue the batteries inside the casing of laptops and headphones so you cannot repair them without completely destroying the device.
It's infuriating.
They start providing software updates for perfectly good hardware, forcing it into obsolescence. Trying to live your buy-it-for-life sovereignty declaration lifestyle is incredibly difficult today because the manufacturing system is actively working against you.
Right.
The modern economy practically demands that we throw things away.
It is a massive systemic issue, absolutely. We are fighting an uphill battle against manufacturing trends. But to me, that makes it all the more important to be conscious of the things we actually do have control over.
So what does this all mean for us? If we pull all these threads together, from subway umbrellas to Diderot's dressing down to the dopamine hits of new tech, I think the core takeaway here is a total redefinition of frugality.
I agree.
True frugality isn't just about refusing to spend money. It's about knowing exactly what you are paying for and what that purchase demands of you.
Exactly.
Are you paying for the object's actual physical utility, or are you just paying for the temporary dopamine hit of a new experience while completely ignoring the hidden time costs and the structural collapse that follows?
Wonderfully said. And it's really important to reiterate to everyone listening that this conversation is really about understanding our own behavioral habits and psychological blind spots. We aren't criticizing any specific lifestyle, group, or country. We just want to encourage everyone to think independently about what objects truly deserve a permanent place in their lives.
Which leads to one final, slightly provocative thought for all you sip-and-talkers out there to mull over.
Okay, what is it?
Think back to that smartwatch I bought this morning and the 50 million tons of e-waste. If everyone in the world suddenly woke up tomorrow, completely adopted the buy-it-for-life mentality, and stubbornly wore the exact same watch, the same shirt, and the same pair of shoes for the next 10 years, would the global economy completely stall out?
Wow. It is the ultimate paradox.
Isn't it?
If we completely eliminate your tech drag, do we accidentally drag the entire global economic engine to a grinding halt? Is the modern economy actually entirely dependent on our bad habit of throwing things away?
That is definitely something for you to chew on this week while you look at your own closet.
Absolutely.
But before you go, do not forget to hit that subscribe button for the Sip and Talk podcast so you never miss a conversation.
Yes, please subscribe. And we also want to give a massive shout out to our good friend Mickey. Head over to his YouTube channel, Mickey to Life, to check out his brand new travel vlog. You will not regret it.
Until next time, keep questioning your habits and keep thinking critically.
We'll see you next time on Sip and Talk.
And who knows, maybe next week I'll still have the exact same smartwatch. But knowing my dopamine receptors, probably not.